Good morning, everyone. Welcome to lesson 30 of movement meditations. I always like kind of hitting these little milestones in this journey. So lesson 30, I feel pretty good about that as well. I know I've missed a couple of lessons recently. But yeah, I mean, I did 49 lessons of the breathing series. I'm up to lesson 30 of this one. That's 20-minute lesson every weekday for the last 3 or 4 months. Yeah, today's lesson is going to follow on from what we've done Monday and Tuesday. And we're going to do a nice gentle lesson exploring a movement of our hand in relation to the abdomen and the Dantian. So one of the reasons and the sort of initial explanation for this is I want to look briefly at the role that fear plays in our experience. As an example of this, a little story from my own past. There was one time that I was driving a car and I had to put my foot on the brake really quickly. A car had stopped very suddenly in front of me. And the first thing I noticed as soon as I did it, well, before I even put my foot on the brake, was my stomach tightening as if for impact. So we've got this mechanism in us that essentially goes into a protected posture as soon as there's some situation that's going to cause threat to us. And that really is to protect our internal organs. The abdomen muscles contract. And that contraction, if we don't find opportunities to relax again, our abdomen muscles can stay tight. So we can kind of keep the internal experience of fear despite not being in a threatening situation anymore. So part of this work with the Dantian and the lower belly is to reverse some of those reactions so that we don't have this kind of underlying sense of fear in our abdomen that's, served a purpose in that moment for myself when I was in the car, but doesn't necessarily help me going forward. So that's a little sort of introduction to today's lesson. And what I'd like you to do is just find a place to sit comfortably and just close your eyes. Place both hands on your lap so that you've got your fingers pointing upwards and the back of your hands resting gently on your lap. So the back of the hands here resting on your thigh and the fingers pointing up towards the ceiling. Good. And then just as you close your eyes, just bring your attention to your body. Feel the support from the chair underneath you. And just take a moment to kind of check in with yourself and feel your breathing, the movement of your breath. And notice which part of the torso you feel the sensation of breathing. So as you breathe in and you breathe out, where can you actually feel the experience of that in your body? Maybe you can feel some movement in your upper chest, your middle chest, your upper abdomen or your lower abdomen. Excuse me. So as you sit there and you become more comfortable in your sitting position and you feel the place that your body is breathing, I'd like you to just begin to close your fingers together and then open your fingers very gently. And you're just going to make this movement. So the fingers are lying on the lap and you're just going to close the fingers together and open the fingers. And really take your time and do it slowly. So don't rush. Find that moment that the fingers all come together and then that they spread apart at the same rate, the same speed. And if you can, as you do that, just bring your attention to your breathing as well. And just notice kind of how you're breathing as you do that movement. And notice that the speed, maybe a difference in speed between the speed that your fingers are going, traveling, and the speed of the breath. Are they operating at different rates? Two different parts of your experience or your body. So as you do that movement, you can still feel that place in your torso, that place in your chest or your abdomen that you can sense the movement of breath. So what I'd like you to do now is, as you breathe out, find a way to bring your fingers together. And as you breathe in, allow your fingers to open. And just see if you can kind of slowly bring those two parts of your experience into a coordinated movement. So as you open your fingers, you breathe in. And as you close your fingers and bring them together, you breathe out. Just do that movement a few times, opening and closing. See if you can kind of follow the pace of the breath, so that the movement of the fingers follows the speed of your breathing. Good. And notice at the same time as you do that movement, as you continue to do that movement, if there's any sensation of movement in your lower abdomen. As you breathe in and you breathe out, is there a movement in your lower belly? And now, from some of the breathing lessons that I've taught, we've, understood that the faster we breathe, the more we're kind of activating ourselves for action. And as we slow our breathing down, it's like we're kind of coming into a more relaxed experience. Now, I'm relating this in this moment to the contraction to do with fear and threatening situations. That in some way is to either protect ourselves or to get our bodies ready for action, to run away, whatever. But then there also needs to be a moment where we rest and we recover. So, for example, if you've had something difficult happen to you in the day, and then at night you can't sleep because you can't relax your system well. So this movement that we're doing here is a way just for you to kind of tune into your lower abdomen and feel if there's any kind of internal contraction, and just allow it to really gently open and close with your fingers. So just try it again. And as you breathe, just feel the movement of the abdomen as it expands and gets bigger. And as you breathe out, the abdomen contracts and comes back towards the spine. And you're still timing this with the movement of the fingers. So the fingers are opening as you breathe in and closing as you breathe out. Opening as you breathe in, closing as you breathe out. And at the same time as that's happening, your abdomen is expanding as you breathe in and contracting as you breathe out. See if you can coordinate those two experiences. Feeling in some way as you open and close your fingers that the movement of your breathing is kind of allowing your abdomen to relax to a greater degree. Coming out of this kind of frightened, tight response into a more open, expanded experience. Good. Okay, and have a little rest from that. Take a break. And just bring your attention back to how you're sitting on the chair, kind of just how you feel in a general sense in yourself. Maybe there's some state change, some change in your thoughts or your internal sense of relaxation or something like that. Maybe you could even notice a difference in your sense of speed in yourself. So if you're rushing around this morning and you do this lesson, does it change that? Do you feel that you're operating at a slightly different pace? Good. So just let the hands kind of be still for a second and just come back to that movement of the breathing and the belly. So that as you breathe in, there's some sense of expansion of the abdomen. And as you breathe out, there's a contraction or a closing of the abdomen. And at the same time, kind of drop your attention down to your belly so that your mind is resting in the muscles of your lower abdomen. Feeling that as you breathe in, there's some opening of those muscles, and as you breathe out, there's some closing of those muscles. So within the kind of the esoteric description of what the Dantian is, it's considered like an energy center. And the kind of rough translation for it is elixir field or something like energy field essentially. But the kind of like within the Chinese word, there is some sense of poetry and some kind of like kind of rich cultural meaning as well. And within this term, there's it's like an area that kind of refines various different constituent elements of the body and produces a different substance. So they talk about, within a lot of the classical Taoist literature, alchemical practices, which is like the refinement of different substances to produce something else. So this area in the lower abdomen, as you keep your attention there, it's like something's refining, and what's coming out of that experience is a different quality or a different state. So as you sit there and as you relax your mind and you let your mind rest in your lower abdomen, is there some sense of things kind of coming together, and then a change in your situation or a change in your state? And we can relate this back to the fear example of earlier. So just come back to the movement of your fingers now at the same time. Opening the fingers as you breathe in very slowly and bringing the fingers back together. At the same time, you're allowing your abdomen to open as you breathe in and close as you breathe out. And the next aspect of this is that if you think that in terms of the description of this lesson, or how I named this lesson, expanding out into the world, as you're opening your fingers, as you're relaxing your belly and breathing in some way you're expanding out into the world. And as you're closing your fingers and you're contracting your belly as you breathe out, in some way you're kind of pulling away from the world. So as you do this movement now, think about kind of like a movement towards opening something and away, closing something. So just try this movement a few times with that idea in mind. As you're breathing in, you're opening the fingers and you're kind of moving towards something. And as you're closing the fingers and breathing out, contracting the abdomen, you're moving away from something. in some sense, expanding out into the world and then contracting back into your internal world. Expanding out into the world and then contracting back into your internal world, a protected space. And really feel if you can feel the breathing kind of right down deep in your lower abdomen. Feeling that you can move towards life, move towards the world, the external environment, and then away from it, back into your internal environment. And letting the belly, the breathing in the belly, kind of lead this process. So the expansion is happening from your lower abdomen. As you breathe in, it's like a kind of balloon is filling and expanding into the world. And then as you breathe out, like a balloon is shrinking in size, contracting, drawing everything back in. Good. Okay, let go of the hand movement. Let go of the breathing attention for a second. And just keep your attention, just let me maybe have a 30-second rest. And when you're ready, bring your mind back down to this area of the lower abdomen. So in the first couple of days, we looked at different techniques to activate this area or the muscles in this area. To go back over those. One was the use of our attention, bringing our attention to this area. Another was the use of breath, which is something that we've been doing in this lesson. Another is our use of the body position. So whichever one of those that you feel kind of more in tune with in this moment, I'm definitely going to use the attention, and the breathing is going to be a part of that. But if you feel like you want to move your center of gravity in your lower belly as well, that's completely up to you. But just let your mind come down and rest in your lower belly. And as we did, I think on the first or second day, I can't remember which one, it's like the attention in this situation is like a torch. And the attention, when placed on the lower abdomen, lights up that area. Whether you're thinking about this neurologically or just the act of paying attention to something, it becoming more aware in your system. So as you drop your mind down to this aspect of your lower belly, what I'd like you to do is just begin to imagine that this part of you, that there's something that's developed in this part of you, and that thing can begin to expand in all directions. So they often talk about the Dantian like a ball. And in this sense, similar to the concept of Tai Chi, the word Tai Chi means continuous expansion. So in this sense that you bring your mind, your attention to this aspect of your lower belly, and then you just imagine it very gently spreading and growing bigger. And just feel that this field in the lower belly can begin to spread throughout your body. So downwards into your legs, upwards into your torso, out into your arms and your feet, all the way to the edges of your skin. And just slowly imagine that there's this kind of gentle expansion happening. When astrologers talk about the universe, there's this sense that the universe is kind of continuously expanding, getting bigger. Good. So as you imagine this, and maybe you feel your breathing in your lower abdomen, imagine this field or this area of your lower abdomen kind of growing, expanding, spreading throughout your whole system. Whatever elements it's kind of condensed or refined is now passing them back out into the rest of your system. Within the Chinese traditions, this concept of qi is very relevant in this case. So it's like the energy center of the Dantian then becomes a generator of qi, and the qi of the body or the qi of the Dantian begins to spread throughout the network of channels, acupuncture channels, meridians in the body. So as you feel this expansion in your abdomen, you can feel that there's some sense of things kind of moving through your system and out towards the edges. Good. And when you've kind of spent enough time doing that and you feel like there's this sense that the middle of you is also the outside edge of you, that there's not much difference between this middle, the center of the body, the lower belly, and the outer edges of the body, then begin to kind of follow the inward journey and bring everything slowly, very gently, gradually back towards the lower abdomen. So in a similar way we were doing with the breathing or the movement of the hands, there's this sense of expansion out into the world, and then everything coming back and contracting and becoming small again. So follow that movement, follow this kind of like sense of everything drawing back into the lower abdomen. Feel your breathing in that area. And maybe a few times just come back to the movement of the fingers and sort of see if you can tie in the movement of the fingers, opening and closing of the fingers back in with your breathing process. And feel if, as you do that, there's any change in the musculature in your abdomen. Any sense that a tightness or kind of contraction of the belly has let go in some way. You're feeling more comfortable, more at ease. There's a series of very fast connections between our digestive system and our brain. And when our digestive system feels under threat in any way, it's going to pass messages up to our brain, telling the brain to kind of mobilize us to get us out of bad situations. So as the belly begins to relax, the digestive system will begin to relax and send messages up to the brain saying, everything's okay, I'm fine now. You can turn off your warning systems. So again, kind of just trying to correlate some of these older Chinese, Japanese, Eastern concepts and make them relevant, make them applicable to today's world. Great. And then let go of everything and just take a moment just to rest and feel how you're feeling. Feel how connected you are to your abdomen. Maybe feel your feet on the floor. Great. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed that lesson. I haven't considered what I'm going to teach tomorrow, but I think it's going to continue on this theme. The sort of the development of the Dantian then goes into more dynamic movement, the rotation of this, what they describe as a ball, rotation of this Dantian in different ways. So we may look at that over the next couple of days as well. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you feel really nice and relaxed and at ease now. There's a link to my Facebook group in the description. If you want to access any of the previous lessons, you can do so there. They're all organized into units. You can access them. That's completely free of charge. There is a link, however, to my PayPal account in the description again of this post. If you want to make a small donation to show your appreciation, I would obviously be very grateful. So thank you. I will see you tomorrow at 11, and I hope you have a lovely day. Take care. Bye.